See what people think about it. Do you guys like the way this looks? This amazing looking dual set where like it's like boobs or a butt. It's a big butt crack between us.
Oh God, we might. It's like a
We have a GadgetCast butt crack. We're not even monetized. What difference does it make? Oh my God! It's extreme health.
Oh man,
that's funny. Hey Scott, how you doing?
Scott.
My eyes are all fuzzy because I was looking at my phone without using my glasses, which was a mistake. Can't do that for long periods of time. It's not good.
My camera is like slightly too high, so I like if I want to like stare at it, it's like I have to like go like up.
I think I look up.
I'm not staring at it. It's kind of like a peeper view. Like
tech for your needs. We should tweet this out too. What do we tweet out? Although I'm live, but it does the same thing. Oh yeah, then I gotta write super. Yeah, write that down. Talk about that too.
But aside from the weird camera angle,
yeah, looks good.
The quality should be hugely improved.
Oh, because you're using your huh?
Yeah, I'm using a legitimate camera to record this now instead of a
Tish,
webcam.
You're in the middle of the GadgetCast butt crack, as you can see there. There's the butt crack or the boob cleavage, whatever you want to look. I don't know. What do the G's look like? If we put them. Is it more like butt cracks or is it more like nipples? What do you think? Hard to tell. Could be both. No one knows. This is the great thing about not being monetized. We say anything. Doesn't matter. And we're not recording for the podcast. We're on brand.
Some sort of list. So I don't know the answer to this. You used to host like a pretty like popular podcast. Like is there like a thing to like search down like if you're using like copyrighted music and can they flag that or does that not exist?
I mean, there's no overarching thing. So essentially what it is they would have to do a DCMA to you directly and you could pretend that you never heard of it because once it's a podcast it's like everywhere. So they could actually so they could do it to the hosting place. So they would go to Anchor for us.
I think
but like if our podcasts were like on some website somewhere, we just didn't look at the emails. I mean,
they would have to individually sue us, right?
Yeah, I get. But if you're an LLC, then whatever.
Look at my phone.
I know that's awesome. Hey, Genosis.
So it's just green screens.
That's pretty cool. Look in front of your face.
Look at that.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we have brought the GadgetCast boobs.
I also have a green cloth. I was doing this on a Viper stream.
You're having too much fun with this.
Fun. So much fun.
Yeah, well, we're not monetized on Spotify either, so it's not really a problem. And to be honest, like monetization is kind of irrelevant for this podcast at the moment. I mean, we're doing very well, but monetization has nothing to do with this podcast. And even if it did, it would be sponsor based, so it would be irrelevant. Wouldn't matter.
We don't care about money, guys. We're above that.
Not at this point. We're just having fun. All right. So I got my 4 things: Super Bowl stream, Kobe, GadgetCast, and Super Size Me, which I just watched. That'll be a quick one. And then anything tech. This is like none of these are tech. But still. And then we'll get into launch. These are all like quick hits. And then we can go into like
talk about the legacy of the iPad because tomorrow will be its 10-year anniversary.
Oh, yeah, I'd be more than happy to talk about that. Hey, Tech Loving Mama. Yeah, I'd be happy to talk about that. Oh, did you tweet something? Okay. Here, let me see.
I didn't tweet anything.
Oh no, it's just my live stream. My
kind of
whatever.
Like didn't do my hair right and it's kind of going everywhere. So.
No, Genosis, we're actually on YouTube as well. I'm gonna tweet the YouTube link.
I'm gonna shave. Looks easy.
You should. How do we share this? Okay, wait, hold on. Let me share. Boom. Share to the Twitter tweets.
Oh man. Yeah, let's tweet this thing out.
Done. Boom.
I also hate I did the thing of like posting something on Twitter where it's like you're not like an expert in the field. I bought some like stupid lock. I don't know. Maybe I should save this for the podcast.
Oh, the one with let's save it on the podcast.
Let's save it on the podcast.
Save it for the podcast. Okay. I'm ready to record.
Let me tweet.
Thank you, Tech Loving Mama.
You tweeted, right?
Yes, yeah. And you retweet whatever I said. Retweet. Oh, yeah, let me pull up my things I want to talk about again. Okay, get ready to hit this record button, baby.
Oh, Twitter's so bad, though. I can't go on Twitter.
I know it is. It really is. Okay, you ready? 3, 2, 1, record.
Hello, world, and welcome to another episode of the one and only true GadgetCast. I am Gregory McFadden, joined by the only co-host of GadgetCast, Travis MCP.
That's right, because here's the thing. Let's be super clear about this. There's only one.
There is only one GadgetCast.
There's a story behind this. We should probably talk about it because people are like, well, yeah, of course there's only one. Well, yes and no. So let's talk about the story of the name of our podcast.
The name of the podcast.
Yes. You basically kind of came up with it, to be honest.
Well, Travis and I were trying to think of a name for the podcast, and I was like, well, I'm Greg's Gadgets. Well, GadgetCast, and Travis liked the name, and it was like, okay, we did that. Obviously, like you do with most things, you search for the name to see if it's taken, and if you search GadgetCast, it pretty much wasn't taken, and we couldn't find. There actually isn't a GadgetCast podcast out there, like specifically a GadgetCast podcast. But apparently there was like a GadgetCast Facebook page, and it wasn't linked to any like podcast, which I thought was really weird. Apparently, you found this, so I guess you should tell us part of the story.
Yeah, so apparently a couple of years ago there was something called GadgetCast, and I'm unsure if like it was a legit podcast or it's unclear. But I think I even remember when we were looking up GadgetCast, I think I even saw that there was some kind of GadgetCast, but they hadn't posted in like 5 or 6 years. And I'm like, okay, well, it's dead, so let's move on. And so we decided to go with it's fine, whatever. And then, yes, the other day on Twitter, I was just searching around, and I don't know why I Googled GadgetCast. I Googled us for some reason. I don't remember why. And then I saw that there was a GadgetCast episode that wasn't us. I'm like, did someone actually download our podcast and then replay it and make a new podcast? I'm like, that's dumb. I listened to it, and no, that's not what happened. Back in December of 2019, which was only a couple of weeks, about a month ago, a GadgetCast resurfaced from somewhere, and they said, they said the one and only GadgetCast. I hear there's another GadgetCast, but they're not highly reviewed. Okay, first of all, we are highly reviewed. You just didn't know what it looked. You just got to go to Apple, which is where everyone.
That was insulting. You said we weren't.
That one hurt you, didn't it? That one hurt you, didn't it? We're more reviewed than the other podcast feed where you said it was.
I was like, what are you talking about?
So I was like, I had to DM Greg this because I started listening, and then I didn't finish the rest of the podcast because and they were like, we're going to be better than them. I'm like, okay. So apparently they'd taken like a 5-year hiatus off. They came back in December, said they're going to be back better than ever, and then they've never posted another podcast episode. So it's like, all right, well, I mean, there's like a drive-by. What just happened there? They drive by like dissing, and then they like, okay, whatever.
If you're on the YouTube live stream or Twitter live stream, whatever live stream you're watching this on, I apologize. I probably should have loaded this up into the soundboard. I could have played it for everyone, but go listen to the podcast episode on your podcast client. You want me to include what they said about us? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll include what they said about us. So if you're listening to this on a live stream and you want to hear that part, I'm gonna put it in right now. So
Tish says something in the chat that you literally said to me in DM. She says that's probably where the 1-star reading came from. We talked about last week. That's literally what Greg thinks.
I think so, and now I'm less upset, and that's my story. I think they gave it the 1-star. Now that 1-star could have been there for a while. I didn't notice it, but because it still shows our podcast as 5 stars. But if you look at like the bar graph, you can see like a 1-star rating in there. But there's so many 5 stars it just outweighs it. It still gives us a 5-star rating, but there's like a little like sliver like, up on the 1-star. So like, oh, someone bring us 1-star.
It doesn't bother me at all. So people, if you're trying to hate on me, I don't care. I didn't even know that we had one or whatever. I didn't know. But here's the thing. So if the other GadgetCast is around and they actually are talking gadgets and they want to come on, just reach out to us and I don't know. It'd be fun to just say hi and interview you and see what the heck's going on. But at any rate, I thought that was funny. So that was a cool little thing.
Their whole podcast thing is weird too, because they're on some like almost like a podcast network that posts like so many different shows, and I've like never seen anything like that before. But
did you actually listen to them? I didn't listen to any other ones.
I did. I listened to like quite a bit of it just to see like what it was all about. And
should we go on there and see if we can get invited to it? It'd be funny. I mean, we're actually we have a nice size audience now. We could literally go, by the way, we actually have an audience.
I want to see if they actually post again. Like, you know, at the end of the episode, they go, well, maybe we'll be here next week, I guess. And then like they weren't there. So
they weren't there. Nope. We'll be back in 5 more years. All types of crazy things going on. So before we get into like our main things, there's a couple quick hits I wanted to do. Obviously we want to real quick say rest in peace to Kobe Bryant. Just mere hours before we went live here on the podcast, and for those of you listening later in the week on the audio, you obviously already know about this, but just a couple of hours ago we found out that Kobe Bryant and his daughter were unfortunately killed in a helicopter accident. And you know, as a huge basketball fan growing up, you know, Kobe had just come into the league when I kind of just stopped watching basketball, but I always kept an eye on him. And, you know, he was very Michael Jordan-esque in his play style. He was an amazing competitor, and on the court, one of the best of all time. And, you know, his last year, he just did some crazy stuff. So as a basketball player, big salute. And he was, I guess, with his daughter and stuff, which is terrible. I mean, he was only 41, but for her to be 13, it was depressing to be on Twitter for the last little while.
Yeah, that whole part with his daughter like really got to me, and that was really depressing. It was even you know, some initial reports are saying that like all of his daughters were on board, which I guess isn't true. Like I've been
that brings up something outside of like this tragedy is the quick reporting by people with inaccurate information is horrendous. It's this who can get it first type of narrative that happens across not just like normal news reporting, but also in tech sometimes, you know, very quick to report leaks and stuff. And we need to be really cognizant. I'm pretty good about I try to, you know, research as much as I can. Most of my stuff is you know, based on my opinions on something. So I'm very rarely reporting news or anything like that. So I don't have to be too crazy about it. But anytime I try to go into something, I also try to research it somewhat to know that what I'm saying is true. So we have to be really like, I don't know, we really have to spend our time when we're trying to bring news or information. And you do a lot of tech stuff where you're actually giving out information, like tech information. You have to make sure you're right. Otherwise you look dumb, you know?
Yeah. There's I mean when the news first broke, I saw so many people, you know, we live in this world where it's the first to report wins. And when the reports first hit, it was just so many of the same thing of people going, I hope this isn't true, because people are getting wise to this, that you almost can't even believe the first reports that come out. And so much of this information just seemed to be wrong. And all the initial reports knew was that it was his helicopter that crashed, but they didn't really know who was on board or anything like that. And there was a lot of you know, misinformation out in the beginning. Even like I said, like at first they were reporting that, you know, it was with him and 4 of his daughters. And it's, you have to be very careful when you report this information. And that's something I take seriously. And even if I get something wrong, you know, commenting on something, and even I feel bad, and this is so low stakes, you know, we're talking about technology and stuff like that at times, but even I feel bad. I recently did a video where I did an iPhone 11 review, and I had like iPhone 10R on the brain, and I said, oh, it has 3 gigabytes of RAM, but it comes with 4 gigabytes of RAM. And then everyone in the comments is like, it comes with 4 gigabytes of RAM. And you just feel like an idiot, and you try and get everything right, but it's
you're bound to get something wrong and miss something. Always. But that's why I say my stuff is perfectly imperfect. So that's my excuse. I got it wrong, perfectly imperfect. You'll be all right. But yeah, when it comes to stuff like this, you need to get it right the first time. But let's kind of move aside from that before we get into the last couple of tech things here. I just got done watching on Amazon Prime, which of course is tech based, you know, Amazon Prime. Just watched Amazon Prime Super Size Me 2. Now I watched and really enjoyed Super Size Me about 12 years ago when it came out. And then I've watched a couple variation of that. So Super Size Me was a documentary by Morgan Spurlock where he went and ate McDonald's straight for 30 days and saw the effects of his health, which of course you could have assumed were pretty bad. There were other types of documentaries that came out after that. Super High Me, which was the guy who smoked weed for 30 days. And I don't know, that was kind of funny. And then there was another one. I forget what it was, but it was about how you could eat McDonald's for 30 days and lose weight, which I thought was really cool. But this one is different. So this one's about him opening a fast food restaurant. And it was mainly like a chicken sandwich based fast food restaurant. It is a really good documentary. It brings up the amazing competitive nature of chicken in this country, which I was not aware of. And the fact that there's big chicken corporations that are out to like smash little farmers and stuff, which I was also not aware of. So you will learn a couple of things. Number one, it's an entertaining documentary. Number two, you're going to learn things about chicken that you never knew before and the chicken industry. And number three, you might not want to eat chicken after you see this documentary.
Impossible.
Oh, yes. You need to watch it. So watch that.
It's so good. It would be
and then last thing, Super Bowl, depending on when you listen to this, is either right around the corner or a couple days away where you can stream it live. This will be the first time the Super Bowl is available in 4K. Streaming, which is awesome. Now you can stream it a lot of different ways, whether it be on a computer, phone, everything. But here's what's interesting: of all the streaming pieces of hardware, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV 4K, the only one that I can tell that is not getting actual 4K HDR feed is the Apple TV 4K, and I don't know why. At least this is the report I just read. It's ridiculous. They're getting SDR 1080p and they're going to upconvert it to 4K, where everyone else is getting 4K HDR Super Bowl. So I'm going to have to pull out my Amazon Fire Stick or something and plug it into my TV to watch the Super Bowl.
Huh. The most expensive box doesn't get the 4K feed, and the box I could probably do it the most justice with all the fancy hardware chips it has inside of it.
So here's the thing: I actually did
because of like VP9 though, right? They're probably using
and that's the thing. Listen, Apple is making me upset about this because here's the thing: I did a year and a half ago, I did a comparison between the Roku Fire TV and the Apple TV 4K as like which one's the best streaming one. And I came away saying that while I like the Amazon one the best, the one that had like the smoothest interface and everything, and to this day the same, and the one that's in my main TV is my Apple TV 4K. However, I watch a lot of content on YouTube and it doesn't do YouTube 4K. And to Greg's point, the reason is because it doesn't support a specific codec that Google uses for 4K for YouTube. And that's infuriating. And B, if that's now going now, so you kind of go, okay, well, that's just YouTube, no big deal. Everything else is 4K HDR, so I'm good. Dolby Vision, good. And as a matter of fact, I was able to compare it against the Fire Stick 4K, which I really like. And the comparisons between being able to get Dolby Atmos and Dolby Vision at the same time across all of those streaming devices, still the best is Apple. It's the only one that does it all consistently across everything. But you go, okay, I don't get 4K YouTube. So you can either take that with a grain of salt and say, well, I don't watch a lot of YouTube channels that have 4K or that even matters. But if the problem is now going to be, well, we're going to start seeing that across other platforms where now that thing is not going to work. Apple's going to have to figure this out because I'm tired of not getting my 4K. Ridiculous.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where it's like you have these two companies fighting basically with different standards and what they want to adopt, and they're both so big that they think one is going to bend first to their needs, and there's been no progress on this for multiple fronts.
So you could say it's Google's fault, but when everyone else does it except for Apple, it's Apple's fault. You need to fall in line with what everyone else is doing. Sorry, that's a live stream comment. If you're listening on the audio podcast, you have no idea what I'm talking about. There was a comment in the live stream. There's also a question, do you know if game consoles can do it in 4K? The thing I saw was that the Xbox One will have options to stream the Super Bowl. I'm unsure if it's in 4K. I think so, but I'm unsure. What did Renee Ritchie do a video about recently?
I think the whole fight between Google and Apple regarding different codec standards.
What did he say?
I haven't watched it. I don't know. I've heard him talk about it in the past, and I believe I hope I don't get this wrong. I don't want to put words in Renee's mouth, but I think he basically kind of takes a side in between. But I believe there's also like a future codec they're working on that both Apple and Google are on board with. So I think like I guess like we're just gonna wait for that to come out before any
I
of this is
mean,
resolved.
but that's annoying. Like Apple actually is sitting on the best set-top box for 4K and HDR content. It is. I mean, I have all of them that do 4K. I have Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos here in my
Yes.
living room and in my theater, so I can test it all.
If you
And
want
the
to
only one
highlight
that can
Scott's
go ahead.
comment,
Scott,
it's
let me take
basically what I said. Renee said they're both to blame, but a new codec is coming that they both agree
Okay.
on. So,
Okay.
so I guess we're just waiting for that codec to roll out, and then all of our
When is that
problems
gonna
will be solved.
I'm gonna have to buy the Apple 4K 2 or something. They're gonna make me pay another $200. I know they are. But here's the thing: like, I love the Amazon interface and the way it works with all my Echoes and everything. But the interface on the Fire TV, or sorry, the Apple TV is so good, and everything that works about it is so good, and the support by all the other apps is so good that it is my primary live streaming piece of hardware for everything. Even though I do, I am missing 4K on YouTube. I just make that exchange and I go, I'm getting 4K Dolby Vision on everything else. I'm watching The Mandalorian in 4K Dolby Vision. I always check just to make sure, is it actually coming out of, so it does it consistently. The Fire Stick, when I tested it, you had to force, it was weird. If you forced it in 4K 60, you got HDR on YouTube, which is one of the only streaming sticks I know of that actually does 4K HDR on YouTube. However, you lost Dolby Vision support for some unknown reason. And then when you let it go to auto, then you lose 4K HDR support in YouTube, but you get Dolby Vision in some of the other apps. So the only product that's out there that I have found that reliably will do Dolby Atmos and Dolby Vision support is the Apple 4K.
Yeah. Yeah, I like my Apple TV a lot. I don't watch much YouTube on it, so it's never really like affected me. Like all the content that I watch on it is from sources that can do 4K HDR. No problems, like HBO, Apple TV's new streaming service, Disney Plus, like you mentioned, and yeah, the interface, how smooth it is. It's a lot of money for a streaming box. I understand that, but yeah, I think it's by far the best experience I've used on anything. And I think that my TV has a Roku built inside of it. It's just not as smooth when it's built in. But I can watch 4K YouTube on it, despite it not being as smooth of a process. If I ever needed to watch 4K YouTube, it's kind of, Travis has a really good point that you should really try and do what's best for your consumers. I admit I don't really know too much about codecs. I don't know if there's like a downside to supporting it. I would guess not on Apple TV. I could see Apple going like on mobile, maybe going, this thing like sucks battery life. We don't want to support it. It's going to be a bad technology for our consumers. But on the Apple TV, there's really no excuse for that because it's plugged into a power outlet. There's no battery. So I know Apple's made decisions like that in the past to not support technologies based on battery life. That was their main argument against Flash. It sucks battery, and the world is better off without Flash players. I'll tell you that. Like I think Apple was right in that decision, and that's a decision that made a lot of people mad at the time when they didn't support Flash on iOS. But again, yeah, I guess it must just be something that's like baked into iOS at this point and would probably require too much effort for them to support the code. I don't know. That's what I would like to think in a way, because if there's like a switch they could flip and it's done, like why not do it? Why not do it?
I mean, Genosis says about licensing, but you have to license Dolby. So I mean, it's not like they're not already doing that. I mean, it just could be that it's Apple and Google, and it's like Pepsi and Coke trying to come to some type of agreement. I don't know.
Yeah, and if they're both supporting a new codec, I guess that's like Apple to not make a compromise and just look towards the future. But right now it's a bad experience for consumers. Yeah, it stinks that the 4K Apple TV, you're paying a lot of money for that set-top box. It is a really good experience, but if it can't play 4K, it's called the Apple TV 4K. It should be able to play 4K for everything. And Apple makes a lot of money again, I would like to see their argument against it, but these aren't arguments like we see. So I really can't speak to it. I would like Apple to support 4K YouTube though.
And for anyone who's out there that's like, well, which one should I buy? I would say for most people, either the Fire Stick or the Roku version of that, their little stick thing would be like the number one thing for people that are just want something to be able to stream easily to. Number two, if you want something that's just kind of an all-around beast that can do a lot of things, but you you want like Ethernet in and stuff like that, it would be like the Roku Premiere. Then it goes to like the Fire Stick 4K or the Fire Cube would be the next one up, because it covers a lot of the different A, price range is great, and B, like the 4K and HDR support's awesome. However, if you want like the Cadillac, you want like the number one of everything, it's the Apple 4K, and that has not changed over the last couple of years. I expected Amazon to kind of move in front, and I thought they did with the Fire Stick 4K, but then when I actually played around with it and found that there were some limitations to it, it's still the Apple. It is what it is.
And I've put some Fire Sticks on like secondary TVs before, and I just never found like the experience to be that smooth. And it's like, yeah, like the Apple TV is like so nice. Another point is, if you have a lot of Apple devices and like you like AirPlay and stuff like that,
so awesome.
It's great. And music too. Like if you have like a nice pair of speakers on your TV, you're like listening to music. They've done a lot of Siri integration. I try not to use the trigger word. You can actually like I have like a HomePod now, and I like they did like an update, and I was like, I have like things grouped in rooms. So I said, turn on The Office, and my Apple TV turned on because it was in that group. And I was like, wait, what? And then like you could tell it to like turn off your Apple TV now. You could do this on the phone as well. And I was like,
that's cool.
Oh, this is great. Like it happened completely on accident just because it was in the grouping. But then I was like, oh, this is awesome. I could just tell it to like turn it off at any time or turn it on. And then I can have it play like music directly to there through like Apple Music. So there's definitely a lot of no doubt, a lot of advantages to being in the Apple ecosystem.
So it's funny that you mentioned Siri, because we released the audio version of this podcast on Monday. So we're live streaming now on Sunday. So when I say this for people on Sunday, they're gonna have to wait until tomorrow. But everyone else, I'm releasing a video today if you're on audio, tomorrow if you're here in the live stream, about Siri specifically, as a matter of fact. I'm actually kind of excited about it because despite the fact that someone like Mr. Who's the Boss or something can make it look a lot better, like the actual format of it, I think the subject is really interesting. So I'm actually kind of excited to see what people think of it. I hope people like it. It's basically, does Siri still suck? The premise is that when it first came out, and the way humans kind of operate is, we have an interaction with something, especially when it comes to technology, the first time. If it's a good interaction, then we're willing to kind of look over things. But if our first couple of interactions are bad, we are just convinced that it will always be bad, even though something like Siri, which is software, can continually get good over years. And Siri was announced with the 4S, which was what, 2011, 2012? 4S would have been
4S, 2012,
2011, because 2010 was the 4, right? So it might have been 2011. Regardless, we're talking about at least like 9 years.
I think it's 2012 though. Hold on,
2012. Okay, well, we're at least looking at 7 or 8 years of an opportunity to improve.
Right,
the question is, okay, 2011. So the premise of the video is it any better 8 years later? So I'm actually at one point, and I had to take this part out because after I researched it more, it became more confusing. But I actually had a point where it looked like Siri answered a question wrong, which was, oh, I was so excited when it happened. I recorded an entire new section for it. I was in the editing, going over the questions and the answers. And when I Googled the answer, it had a completely different answer than what Siri gave. And then I asked Alexa, and Alexa said the same thing. And I'm like, oh, I have the opening for this video. It's gonna be so amazing that I got it wrong. Then I looked into it, and it's just plain confusing. So here, the question is this, and it's a basic question. What planet is closest to the Earth? So this apparently is a lot more complicated than you might think. I didn't know this would be a complicated question. It just seems like a general question, something you might see on a game show. Apparently it's a complicated question. So Siri actually gave two answers depending on how I asked the question, which made it even more confusing, because she said Venus and one time, and then Mercury another time, and then showed different cards. And I'll even ask, like, Alexa, what's the closest planet to the Earth? So let's see. I forget. I think she says Mercury. Oh, so now it says Venus. So she says Venus, and Google, I think, agreed. Siri did not. However, when I asked Siri the same question like a second time, she changed her answer. I'm like, wait, what? Then I asked it again. She went back to the first answer. I'm like, what's going on? So I'm like, she's wrong one of these times, right? And then I started searching on YouTube and on not YouTube. I started searching online, and there's like this whole thing about, there's like a fight about like which one is actually closer. I'm like, I don't want to be in the middle of that. I just decided to edit that entire section out. So you're getting behind the scenes of what I was super excited about being in that video, and I
There's
just
not a
didn't even mark it
definitive
wrong.
answer of what planet is closest to us.
Because here's the thing: at certain times of year, one is closer than the other. But
Right.
when you ask like which is closer right now, there's even I've read an entire article where a guy was like, even when that moment happens, it's still not closest overall. And I'm like, okay, look, I'm not getting into that. That comment section would get I would get so many science nerds in the comment section saying irrelevant stuff that I'm like, I don't want that. So I just removed it. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Ask your Google.
That's crazy.
Everyone who's listening, ask your Google, ask any assistant you have. And you can ask two different questions of the same, you might think is the same thing. Which planet is closest to the Earth now, and which planet is closest to the Earth? Those might seem like the same question, but apparently they're not. It's so confusing. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I was excited about that.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah, I agree with you. And we've talked about this before about how Siri gets like a really bad rap. And sometimes I don't think it's necessarily deserved. I think Google is definitely the clear winner out of all of these services. I've used them all. Google for me usually gets it right the most, or it usually gives me the answer I want and like in the way I want it. I have had a lot of trouble with, the Amazon Echo. I pause because I don't want to say the name. I've had a lot of trouble with the Amazon Echo, giving me information, delivering it the way I want it to, and things that it shouldn't get wrong, like my alarms in the morning, where I say, hey, turn off all my alarms. I like to set multiple alarms. I have a really hard time waking up in the morning. So I set multiple alarms. So, the first alarm gets up and I wake up and I'm like, turn off all my alarms. You don't have any alarms set. What? Okay. Go about my day. And like 30 minutes later, I hear my alarm go off. I'm like, no. And I go, oh, okay, turn off the alarm. Turns off the alarm. Then I say back, like, turn off all alarms. And it goes, do you want to turn off this alarm? And I go, no, turn off all the alarms. And it just doesn't do it. And I had to do it like individually. And the worst part is it wasn't consistent. So there would be days where I'd say, turn them all off, and no problem. Yeah, I'll turn them all off. And then there's other days where it just wouldn't do. And I would have that problem to the point where I used to have an Echo Show. And it started frustrating me so much that I replaced it with a Google, or now they're called Nest Hubs. I replaced it with a Nest Hub. And like, I haven't had any issues with that so far. But I also have HomePods as well. And that's a thing where I can set an alarm on my HomePod, and I've never had it do that to me. So I've had some like really like frustrating experiences with the Amazon Echo. And back in the day, there used to be this really big competitive advantage to the Amazon Echo when it first came out. And a lot of people said it was much more reliable than Siri, which was true. But a big reason for that was because it had a stable internet home connection at all times. It wasn't on a cellular network. My most frustrating time using Siri is when I'm not home. If I'm outside and I'm on like a weak cell connection, there is nothing more frustrating when it tells you, wait a second. You ask it something, it goes, wait a second. And then you just get so frustrated because you want that information or you want something to happen immediately. And then the worst part is when it takes like a minute for that request to go through and it just can't do it. And it's like, sorry, I couldn't do it. And it is the most frustrating experience. You want to throw your phone right on the ground. You want to never use it again. And this is me, someone who likes to experiment with this stuff. And it makes me not want to use it ever again. The minute it gets something wrong, it is so frustrating. And that is something I still have to experience on my Apple Watch. Not so much the phone anymore. It's gotten to a point on the phone where I usually have pretty stable cellular connection, or I'm at on my home network, and it's not too bad. But I think the Apple Watch, the cell connection in them today is still not as strong as like a phone connection, or it doesn't send out as much power as a phone connection might, because to conserve like battery life. And like, if I'm using the cellular connection and my phone's not by me, there are times where it's like, find me music on Apple Music. And it's like, hold on a minute. And you're waiting Travis, I feel like I need to go to anger management when that happens.
But it's so funny. See, I don't have those problems with Alexa at all. Oh shoot, there she goes again. Sharon does to me. I don't really have those problems. However, I do know that some people do, and I acknowledge that. Genosis says that he found Siri to be the most accurate to listen to his voice. He compares it to Google Assistant while driving in his truck. So the one thing I have found about, which is interesting, the one thing I have found about Alexa is that she's gotten better with random knowledge over the years, so much so that I almost don't know what I can ask. So I have a Google Home Mini and then Echoes and stuff all around the house. I have one Google Home Mini in the kitchen and then Echoes everywhere else. And kitchen is where I just ask my most questions and play music and stuff. So it's funny. I always ready to over the last year, the first year I did that, I like any kind of question that had nothing to do with like setting timers or the date or something like that. I would go to Google. I was like, it's just not going to work on like. But now Alexa knows a lot more things that I didn't know before. So now I'm actually using the Mini less, but every so often it will give the wrong answer, or not even the wrong answer, but just not exactly what I'm looking for. So in the video context of that, like the way an answer is given weighs heavily on the outcome of that video, which, that's why I was kind of, I love the subject, the idea behind this video so much that I was really interested to see what would happen. I went into it not knowing because I don't use Siri regularly. So I was as surprised as anything as I was going through it when they would get things right or that one thing I thought was wrong and some other things. So my score will be different for different people because some people will think that it got a lot more right than I gave it credit for, but I do explain my kind of scoring system at the beginning. So I'm really excited for people to check that out.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be an interesting video. I can't wait to watch that one. I want to see like, how different are these services? And this is a very important thing to answer. And I'm looking forward to reading the comments too, but I don't know. I feel like you got some fire coming either way. So
yeah, exactly. I think it'll be good. It was not the conclusion that I thought I would come to. I will just say that and leave it at that. I thought it was going to be the exact opposite conclusion.
Gotta check out Travis's video then, because
yeah. So that'll be on Monday. If you're listening to this on YouTube, it'll be tomorrow. If you're listening to it on audio, you probably can go watch it right after you listen to this podcast.
Oh, go now. Yeah. Well, finish the podcast first and then go.
Yes, and then
I need my time as well to shine in the spotlight.
Yeah, of course. Oh, you have the so let's talk a little bit about the because I know we were going to talk about something else. But I do want to talk to you real quick about the iPhone SE2 or the iPhone 9, whatever the heck they're going to call it. First of all, are we in? Because I watched your video from like 2 weeks ago, where you were talking about that and the specs for it and everything.
Yes.
Are we any closer to knowing which one to call it? Because I have a video that I want to do this week, and I want to know what to call it.
We have no idea. There are just two prevailing thoughts. There is the iPhone SE. I guess, or maybe they'll just use the SE name, or is the iPhone 9. I don't know what is the smarter marketing move. I think iPhone 9 is confusing. I feel like people would go and be like, wait, there's an iPhone 9. I don't want that.
Yeah.
So I'm leaning more towards SE, but I've seen like other analysts say, no, Apple's going to call it the 9. It would also make sense though. Like there was an 8 and there was never a 9, and they went to the 10, and that could be the death of that old series. So it does make sense in a way. I just don't think from a marketing standpoint, Apple would want to release that because it would just be very confusing. And then people would immediately go in the store and be like, iPhone 9? No, that's like so old. I don't want that. I want the iPhone.
Aren't you up to iPhone 11 right now? Yeah.
Exactly.
It's so. I mean, in the performance standpoint. Well, that's not even true. I was going to say the performance standpoint makes sense, but it's not because it actually has a faster processor than the 10. So it's not even true in that way. It's a real conundrum. I think you just go with SE2 and leave it alone because if you go back to 9, now you're opening up.
And the SE is like a known like brand name already. Like people know what that means. So I think that's the smarter move too. And yeah, like you go in and you like want like a phone with like the latest chip and like they still sell the 10R. So you're going to go in and be like, I want the, like what's better, the 10R or the 9? Mm-hmm. So yeah, just call it the SE. It's a special edition, like the other one was. It's one last shot at this hardware design, and it has all the fancy new stuff in it that you would want. So that's what I'm leaning towards.
So are we looking at a weird skip S year?
Just when you tag it though, feel free to put iPhone 9 as well as.
Yeah, I'm going to. I'm going to put both.
Recommendation for you. Use both.
I'm doing both. Yes.
People use both, and people search for both. That I can.
That's what I'm going to do. Yeah, that's what I'm definitely going to do. Okay. So are we going to skip an S year? Is this going to be an iPhone 12 year rather than an iPhone 11s?
I believe so, because they're going to do a new design. And if we look at, well, I'm trying to think if there is can I point to something there? They skipped the 7S and they went to 8, but it wasn't really like that much of a new design. It kind of used the old design. But yeah, I think they'll just go right to 12. Like, I don't think it's an S here. Like, it has a new design. Usually that's they did the 6, the 6S, the 7, and then they went to 8.
8,
so
10.
I think it'll kind of follow that trajectory.
But that's because they brought the 10 out the same year as the 8.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think new design, you just go with like 12. And I'm also not sure. I hope it's not S, because I don't want to say iPhone 11s, iPhone 11s Pro, iPhone 11s Pro Max,
5G,
iPhone 12s.
Well, I mean, listen, Apple already upsets me with like the iPad naming schemes. It just makes me want to throw them out the window, even though I love iPads. And speaking of iPads, I believe you had thought about that.
That was too good of a transition. It threw me off. iPad. Hey, if I did my job right, there will be a video out as well for me on Monday. So if you're listening to this now, tomorrow there'll be a nice video out from me. If this is the audio version, it should be out. Oh, maybe not, because we were releasing the AM. So maybe around 11 o'clock, tune into my channel. It's going to be 10 years since the original iPad was announced. And
wow.
Like Steve Jobs, like, and I feel like Steve Jobs has been like gone like longer, but like he hasn't been. Like, he was alive when that happened. And I was like rewatching the keynote when he announces it. I have Walter Isaacson's biography on Steve Jobs. I was rereading the section on the iPad and the iPad 2. And like, there's so much stuff like I forgot, and like reading about Steve again and like his thoughts and stuff like that was very interesting. I almost like wonder how, like, if he was still alive today, how he would deal with like this like world that has changed so much since 10 years ago. But yeah, 10 years the iPad was released. I think it's one of the like I think it was one of the most groundbreaking products of the decade. It's changed a lot since then too. Like, there's been so much that's changed about it. The philosophy that Steve Jobs had for that product kind of isn't there anymore in a way. He wanted this product that you could just easily pick up at all times and just start surfing the web, do whatever you need to do with it, read a book, kind of have this like device that could be multiple things at once. And the idea was that it was always open, it was always ready to be used. And it's kind of interesting when you look 10 years now into the future, where we have these iPad Pros that we love. Yeah. And aside from them just being sleeker and, you know, faster, way faster than the original iPad, the thinking behind it has slowly changed to where my iPad Pro has a keyboard cover on it. It's not the immediate device that it was, where it's just open and you pick it up and it's right there ready to use, and you do something on it. You go sit down on the couch, you have this full like touch screen in front of you to use. Now there's like accessories that attach to it, and it's one of the struggles in that Isaacson book is Steve Jobs was very upset about the initial reaction to the iPad. He was upset that so many people didn't see how it could be creative, and most people just said, well, it's a bigger phone and you can watch movies on it, and you know, it's for consumption, not for creativity. And one of his focuses with the iPad 2 was to be a more capable device to lead into that creative side, because part of Apple's branding has always been about people who can create stuff. And it's interesting to see how the iPad's kind of evolved, because I think even during Jobs' lifetime, it was never really seen as that creation device. It was always seen as that consumption device thing. You know, you get the tablet and it's a great thing to watch your movies on or browse the web on. But I think the Pro models have really ushered in this era of creativity on the iPad Pro, where we haven't seen that before, and that is due to the accessories like the keyboards and like the Apple Pencil. My fiance does like art on her iPad, and it's like, it really is like such a creative device for like so many people. Travis edits his videos on the iPad. I'm sure using Apple Pencil and stuff like that to do that, to be more precise. And it was very interesting for me to like revisit that original philosophy and kind of see how it's changed, and me in my head, I'm trying to think like how Steve Jobs would react to that. But Steve Jobs is also like a person that changed his mind so many times that I think he would eventually have saw like a different path for the iPad than he initially envisioned it. And I draw that to the App Store. When the iPhone came out, Steve Jobs was very against the idea of having an App Store on that device. He thought it would lead to like all these bad things happening, like viruses just making their way into the iPhone. And he was fighting tooth and nail to not have an App Store, but people in the company were smarter than him, and they saw this huge potential to have this store where people could develop different applications and really unleash the power of this phone and really unleash new services there. So he was overruled on that decision. And I don't think anyone can argue against the success of the App Store today. And even as the App Store was launched, it was something that Steve Jobs like turned completely around on. And even he was ushering in how impressive it was that the iPhone and iPad had like 100,000 apps on it. You know, like even he was like, look how many apps we have, and Android tablets only have 100 apps. So
and the Android tablets largely don't exist anymore. A real quick shout out to Justin Brown watching. Hey, Justin, welcome to the show. Yeah, Justin would be cool to have on the channel. He's got a really nice channel with a bunch of tech stuff. So maybe we should invite him on for an interview at some point. But sure. I agree with you. I've had every iPad since the iPad 2. Well, not every, but almost. I've always had an iPad since the iPad 2, and they always were. I put my phone down when I come home and I use my iPad for everything else, except for the Pro. Once I got the Pro, it became an actual workstation. So that is what I had all my videos on. So now it in my mind, it's something different now. So it's not my casual using device. It is my workstation. So, you know, if I go back to getting a casual, I probably get like a mini or something like that. But the minis are so infrequently updated that I might as well just go with an Air or you know, the other one.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely this change of thinking on it, and you know, using an iPad as a computer, like we've said multiple times on this podcast, it's something that most people can do now. Like it's really not that big of a deal as it used to be, and there really aren't like that many fights to be had. Anyway, we're running long here, so I want to wrap up my thoughts.
Oh my gosh, yes.
iPad 1. I've never owned an iPad 1 before. This is my first experience with it, and it's kind of weird because it is stripped in so many ways, because like if you go on the App Store, like you can't download anything. Like you can like view stuff. Like I see like these modern apps like Procreates on there, and it's like you go to download it. Number one, you can't even sign on to iCloud. It sends you like, I have a 2-step verification on. It goes, oh, you need to use 2-step verification, and the thing never pops up on the original iPad. You can't even do it. The original YouTube app is on there. It was pre-bundled. That's like when Google and Apple used to get along.
Yeah.
Pre-bundled on there. It uses like an old school television as its app icon, and you can
I remember that.
Yeah, you can go on that YouTube app, and I can see everything that's on the featured page, and I can actually watch it on the iPad, which I was like, I didn't even think this would work. The funny part is though, I can't search for anything.
Oh.
The minute I go to search for something, it doesn't work. And I was like, oh man. But it's kind of like, it's funny, like it still works. And the whole like design language, like the skeuomorphism design, where everything was like made to look like something. Like if you open like the Notes app, it just looks like a yellow legal notepad. If you open the Calendar app, it just looks like a calendar. It has like leather texture and stuff like that. And a lot of people don't like that today. A lot of people are all about flat, clean, modern design. Mm-hmm. And but I've read interviews with people who developed the skeuomorphism for Apple, and the reason they did that was to make it really simple for people to use, because these were like real world examples. Like you open up the Notes app, oh, it's a legal yellow pad. Okay, you open up the calendar, oh, this. And there was a story, I think, in the Isaacson book where someone like had like an original iPad and they brought it to some like third world country where like there was like very little technology, and they gave it to like this like 5-year-old boy who's like never like had like any sort of technology in his life. They gave him the iPad and he immediately knew how to use it. That's how good like the UI design was for it. It just made everything translated so well to real world use. To like, if you're on like the Books app, how do you turn a page? You just slide your finger and the page turns with you.
Yep.
There was like and you take that for granted today because everything almost does that. But yeah, it really was like this really great design back then.
Well, I know we're running way over, so we're gonna have to skedaddle. But yeah, the iPad. Oh, good. What happened?
I have one more thing before you go.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Okay. But I mean, for me, iPad has been something that I've owned and will probably own until they stop making them. I love it as a hardware, a device that I don't know. I just love the iPad. I think it's great.
I love the iPad too. I'm less iPad centric than Travis. I am interested though that, I mean, we're talking about 10 years later. This like last year was the first year where the iPad got an OS that has its name on it, iPad OS. So down the line, it's going to be interesting to see if they can separate that a little more from the legacy of iPhone and iOS. Because, they took a crack at it trying to give us more iPad specific features. And I think they did a good job for the first time on iPad OS. There's still a lot of things I want to see them change with it though. So real quick, I want to tell a story on the podcast.
Go ahead.
So I got a lock. I got a lock.
Okay.
I want to talk about this.
Now this is mainly for the YouTube audience, right? Because the audio audience isn't going to understand what's going on, right?
Go on my at Gregory McFadden. If you're listening on the podcast, follow me. I need more followers. You could see my little clip. I got a padlock. I'm planning to go to the gym, maybe lift some weights. I want like a nice padlock for a gym locker. I don't like combinations. Like I'm bad at that stuff. I'm bad with like twiddling with small things. I don't want to get that. I was like, oh, they have fingerprint sensors for like these locks. Awesome. Like, does this work? I want to get that. So I buy this lock on Amazon. It's like $20, whatever. Like some Chinese companies like pumping these out. And I get it and I register my thumbprint on it and it unlocks with my thumb. I'm like, oh, cool. Perfect solution for me. I'm happy. Yeah. I thought it was cool. So I posted on Twitter. Awesome. Initial people that follow me are like, oh, that looks awesome. I want one. Then some guy is like, oh, did lock picking lawyer see this? I'm like, lock picking lawyer? What's a lock picking lawyer? Apparently there's this guy on YouTube who has like 1 million subscribers and his channel is dedicated to lock picking and like showing you like how to get into locks. Okay. Anyway, long story short, this guy, like this 1 million subscriber YouTube channel, like replies to me like with like a picture of like this like lock like cut in half. He goes, does that answer your question? Like how like bad this lock is? No, it doesn't, Mr. Lockpick Lawyer. I went on your channel to look for a good padlock after this embarrassment I suffered. Travis, every video ends with him going, I do not recommend this padlock.
Of course, because he's able to get through all of them.
He gets into every padlock and his recommendations go, this is easy to get into.
Well, so what was the problem with yours? Could it be faked? Could the fingerprint be faked or is just
no, whatever? Like it was like a brute force attack. Like it was easy to cut open.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're at like LA Fitness, is someone in there with a damn saw while other guys are naked walking around their junk?
I just need it to. And listen, I didn't even expect this to be the most secure thing in the world. I just wanted it to be enough of a deterrent that some like kid doesn't like open the locker and like throw my clothes on the floor. That's it.
Come on.
It's not highly secure. I'm not storing anything in there. I'm just storing like this shirt in here. I'm going to put this shirt in here. If you want to go through the effort and take my shirt, have it. It's yours because you would have got it anyway. You would have got it. Anyway.
So the hashtag for this week on Twitter will be hashtag take Greg's shirt. So if you're listening to the podcast during the week, or if you're here on YouTube, hashtag take Greg's shirt to let us know you were here.
And I'm in this world of lock picking now where like these like people are like commenting on my tweet and they're like, ha, LOL, what an idiot. And I'm like, I just wanted a simple lock. Like, I don't care. Like, it just needs to be a big enough deterrent that some kid doesn't open my locker. That's it. This locker's taken. That's all I need.
People out there are just crapping on people's fun. I'll tell you. All right, Greg. Well, no more locks for you. For everyone else, we definitely thank you for joining us. Show notes will have links to various shenanigans. If you're on YouTube, make sure you check out the audio podcast and give us a give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. I actually went around. There's other podcast things like Stitcher and stuff are on. You can rate us there too. Rate us everywhere. Really, to be honest,
Travis doing the
rate us all the places. And if you like this podcast, give us a thumbs up everywhere you can do that. So we appreciate you for swinging on by. So everyone on the audio podcast, we'll see you next time. Everyone in the live stream, hang tight for just a real quick little post thing. That's right. If you're listening to us during the week, you're missing out on some of the shenanigans that happen afterwards. But you know what? At the end of the day, I'm Travis. He's Greg. We're the GadgetCast. We'll see you next time.
Is that a record for longest GadgetCast?
It is. That is the longest GadgetCast we've ever done.
Look at that. Yo, there was 18 viewers in here. Someone left.
Yeah.
Someone left before the awesome live show. What? For the
post show.
But I think that's the most we've ever had in here. So that's awesome.
Yeah. No, and plus we have people watching on my Twitter too. So we've had a very steady over 20 people watching the entire show.
I'm gonna give a link to this lock. It can be broken into. Apparently, you don't have to buy it. I liked it. I don't know if that links into anything, but whatever. That's a lock I got. It was $20. I wasn't expecting maximum security. There's no Bluetooth. There's no Wi-Fi. The Chinese don't have my fingerprint, if that's what you're thinking. Like, I looked into all this, like.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah. I had to zoom in to see the G logo on my phone. Look like an inverted G. Oh, that's so funny. G Suite. Yeah, these are the G boobs. You can see them right here. With the G butt crack in the middle. Yes. Yeah, we'll have to do another stream or another podcast maybe middle of the week because we're eating too long. Need to lock the door. No one leaves unless someone breaks the lock. That's right. I know, right? Like, who cares? None of those locks work. Like, you could literally, and you're right. I have never heard of this guy, but I'm not surprised that he exists because I know that there's YouTube channels dedicated to unlocking stuff.
Which is fine. And I get like he's trying to like educate. Oh, I mentioned this on the show. Some guy, like, I went to sleep. Like, I just went to sleep and I woke up to some guy going, Greg, I understand that like this company probably paid you for this lock, and you shouldn't hide responses though, because that's unethical. And I'm like, I didn't hide any responses. You hit view more replies. That's how Twitter works. I'm sorry. I didn't actually hide any responses. And this company didn't pay me. I paid them. I have no relationship with this.
It's a reverse sponsorship. He's sponsoring that company is basically.
And I retweeted the guy who opened the thing anyway. I retweeted the tweet. I didn't care.
How did I miss this, by the way? I completely missed that. I never saw that whole thing happen. I saw the picture of the thumb thing.
It got like 2,000. It got like a lot of like views on Twitter. It got like 2,000 views, which is like a lot for me. Like, I never get anything that like, dude.
It must be because that guy replied to it and people were like, what's this tool bag?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like a cool thing because like I showed it off and like all the tech people were like, ooh, I want that. Like they understood it. But like this guy, but the thing that still like makes me mad is like I actually went on his channel like, oh, let me see what padlock here. Every video ends the same way. I do not recommend this lock. I can get into it. And I'm like, all right, buddy, like you're gonna get into anything. He literally, one of his videos is like, here's the like master lock, like everyone uses like a master lock padlock. He gets into that with like in like 2 seconds, and like he doesn't have to break it open. He just like puts like something in like the keyhole and twists it. He's like, I got into it. I do not recommend this. I'm like, what? What do you recommend?
Does he he should come out with his own lock that he feels like he can recommend. But then the problem with that is he leaves himself open to people.
I hate locks, so I went out and made one.
Yeah, exactly. I went out and made my own.
Let me drop the drop the green screen real quick. So let me just get into my real house. Thank you. Net worth.
Really. Oh yeah. Let me go back to my real house too. Hold on. Where is my real house? This is my house.
Oh no, exposed brick. That's very expensive.
Yeah, I mean it's not cheap. It's not cheap at all. Yeah, that deserves a tweet. Oh look. Stocks are up, and so are bolt cutters.
Nice.
Yeah, with hydraulic cards, you can cut any lock. It's a true story.
Listen,
yeah, go ahead.
If they break into my gym locker, have it. Yeah. I don't care. I'll go home. I'll find clothes. Whatever.
Bro, At this point, just take it. And that's the thing with everything. Well, so I got like LifeLock and a bunch of other stuff because I'm like, at this point, it's worth the couple of dollars a month just so some tool bag doesn't try to jack me for no good reason. But there's always going to be those people that have like that skill level. And it's the same thing for anything. Like you buy whatever. So it's so funny to me that someone didn't catch on to this on Twitter. So I can't remember who it was. Someone tweeted at me after I tweeted something about like private, something about privacy or something. And they were like, oh, Alexa's listening everywhere. And they were like, well, I don't want those in the house. You want Amazon to have ears in all places of your house. Shake my head and like slap. And I'm like, just imagine the day when you have a supercomputer that will have GPS and cameras. And he's like, yeah, that'll be terrifying. I'm like, he goes, when do you think that'll happen? I'm like, look in your pocket, dude. I mean, what the hell are you talking about? It's got mics, a camera, GPS, internet access. It's got more than anything in your house you're scared of. And you worried about an Echo. You better settle down, young man. So, yeah. Anyway, that was fun. I hope everyone enjoyed it. We'll be doing this again next time for our live stream. So peace and love. Follow us. All the links are in the description and stuff. So, oh yeah, and download the audio because we like seeing those. Man, the podcast is growing considerably on audio, and we are super happy about it. We couldn't be happier.
Especially if you want to hear the other GadgetCast. I'm gonna play their segment in the.
Play their. So in the edit of this. Not there yet, Justin. I appreciate you though. But in the edit of this, you will find the other GadgetCast. So go listen to the audio one.
Hold on. Can I? I think it's play from here, right? You want to play?
You have it? Yeah, go ahead.
Hold on. Just give me 1 second.
The other GadgetCast.
The other GadgetCast.
You just got to play the intro part where they talk about us.
Yeah, hold on, guys. I got this.
In fairness, they were first, but we're better. We're up. If you look at percentage,
this is really funny. Travis and I aren't upset. Like we got like the biggest kick out of this. I just want to say that like we're not upset. Yeah. Like we thoroughly like. The first thing I responded to Travis was like, I love this. Like this is the best.
I was laughing when I was watching. Like, oh my god, this is crazy.
All right, I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna skip a little bit.
It's just the intro part where they talk about us. Yeah.
Let me know in the chat if you can hear it. Hold on. You should be able to.
I can't hear it yet.
Buffering.
Oh. You're listening to the Podcast Detroit Network. Visit www.
And we had actually done an episode, and I came across another podcast with the name GadgetCast. So, we had thought about, possible name changes because that GadgetCast is not. It doesn't seem to be highly reviewed.
Okay. So do we change our name or do we just be better than them?
Well, I think we'll be better than them.
I think that's not a question.
Right.
We're all ready. So it's I'm fine with the same name as another podcast as long as that podcast is lame.
Okay.
We were talking today about we're going to talk.
And that was it. So we just got to be lame and then they can exist. Of course, they haven't posted another podcast in a month.
Yeah.
I mean, like you guys posted one podcast in the last 5 years and then you're calling us lame. Come on, bro. Come on, son.
We want the feud. Like I want them to come back. Like this is good. This is fun.
That is hilarious, dude. Totally. Like, yeah, we need to cease and desist. Bruh. Appreciate you guys. All right, look, we got to go. I got things I need to do. But I appreciate all y'all. We'll see you again next time. Peace and love. What? What?
I said don't lie to them.
No, I actually love them. I don't know about you. You're just a soulless bastard. By the way, if you want to see what a serial killer looks like, watch some of Greg's videos when he's doing his B-roll of him looking at his phone. I mean, he looks like a damn serial killer. I'm not, listen, we can cancel Greg all we want. The dude looks like a serial killer when he's sitting there looking at it.
That's cold. What am I supposed to do? What do you want me to do?
Oh my god!
You want me
and by
to
the
do?
way, let me be completely like, hold on. Let me be completely honest. No one can get as good of an interview or talking stuff as I can out of you. No one else can interview you, and you feel, because you always are like, you're quiet. Your answers are very short. You talk to me, you're jabberjaw for 10 minutes straight, which is great because it's a podcast. People interview Greg for something. They're like, hey, Greg, like, how'd you do these things? Well, it's just, yeah, it's good. What the? Wait, what? Like Viper will ask you a question, and then it's like 2 words, and then like you're both sitting there waiting for the other person to say something. Like, Greg, you have so much vigor. You have so much to say. We say it on GadgetCast, and then you sit there, be quiet as hell. But you're fine if you put a hood on and pretend to be the emperor for no good apparent reason.
I talked fine on Viper's stream. I don't.
Hold on. What does Genosis say? What does Genosis say?
No, I don't talk as much when there are guests on the stream because I am very courteous and it's hard for me to butt into other people. But when I am one-on-one with Viper, I think I hold my own pretty well. Okay?
No. Genosis knows, because Genosis is in all the, look at Joseph saying, Genosis is in the live stream all the time. He knows. I've seen this. You are great on podcasts because I bring out the greatness in you. We have a great chemistry that we hear about. You are great on the podcast. You go anywhere else, I'm like, who the hell is that dude? He ain't the guy on the podcast with me. I know that's not who that guy is. He is not my podcast partner. I don't know who he is. And then he goes, well, you can check out our podcast. No one's going to check out our podcast after you don't say anything.
Was that on the podcast episode of Viper? Was I bad?
No, the podcast episode was all right. It's all right.
Yeah,
but,
I did good one-on-one. I don't do good when there's more than one guest. I admit it, because I don't like to interrupt people. It's that's just me. Like, I hate like interrupting people, and like no one else has like trouble like interrupting people all the time. So I'm like kind of always like, that's just me. That's my personality.
Look, I'm telling you, I'm not the only person who feels this way. I'm just saying, be a little bit more aggressive, Greg. Just be more aggressive. That's all I'm going to say. We have the best podcast in the world. You're a great co-host. You have an opinion on this thing. You are a different person. You are Greg times 1,000 on our podcast. You go somewhere else, you're the Meek Mouse. I don't know who you are. So look, everyone in the people in chat are saying it.
I'm just humble. I'm just so humble. I can't help it, guys.
I'm just saying.
If you're talking about the last Viper stream,
no, all the Viper streams, go back and watch the stuff.
I don't think
just
so,
saying, bro. Just saying.
Anyway,
we love Greg, so everyone give Greg some love on Twitter, and we'll see you guys again soon. Peace.
Bye.